Well, I appreciate you all taking the time to join me. Chase and Kenny, what I'm doing is I'm doing a kind of video series on being an uncommon athlete, and particularly I apropos this to these times. You know, a lot of things that I talk about in the book are so, I feel they're so appropriate right now, you know, in helping young athletes continue that. And so I wanted to have you guys on to kind of talk a little bit about you guys' experience and even with the book and just that type of thing. But first off, Chase and Kenny, I know you guys have had a great relationship, a great run in basketball thus far, you know. And in the book, in Uncommon Athletes, I really talk about how to maintain and keep passion, you know, for the game. And so during your experiences, Kenny, even with Chase, how have you guys been able to maintain that passion?
I knew basketball was for me is because I caught myself thinking about it 24/7. I caught myself studying it. I caught myself the first thing when I wake up, I'm thinking about basketball. It's something that I always want to do. It's something that I always want to be prepared for. It's something that I dream about. It's something that I vision about. And that's how you know when you're passionate about something. It's when it's always on your mind and you're willing to do anything to be successful at it.
Oh, good. Dad, when did you see that passion? And when did you really know that, hey, he really wants this thing? You know?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I'm listening to his story, and when Chase was born as a youngster, I thought for sure there was no question in the world that he was going to play football. He would go out in the backyard in his full football equipment and play for hours by himself.
Wow.
And I thought, and then I just watched his skill level was pretty special as a youngster. In the 6th grade, he did some things in football that you can't really teach. And I thought for the longest, that's what he would do because he seemed to exhibit that level of passion at a very early age. And I just watched him. He was enamored by the kids on the floor and Stevie Taylors of the world. And he would come home and walk like him, and I just started to watch this observance that he had about basketball players. And then he always wanted to play basketball. And then I just watched him develop this passion. And I would say that Chase, right around, it's funny, we had a sort of a really defining moment for him in the 8th grade, because I was that dad, I was always on him and trying to, make him work hard. And in the 8th grade, I realized that, my limitations as a dad probably reached their end. Mm-hmm. And so I made a conscious decision to back away from dad, coach, and all of these things. And I still coached some teams that he was on, but I took more of an encourager role and a supporter role. I became his cheerleader, not his coach. As a result, have a really good father-son relationship because I just cheer for him in basketball. It just doesn't mean it's all good. Because Chase has had a journey as it relates to basketball. And he's had some really highs and some lows as it relates to basketball, just with the whole AAU thing and just the college transition and then having to transfer to Lincoln Memorial and those sort of things. So, and if you're not passionate, when you feel that pain, you'll crack. You'll turn away and go in a different direction because your passion won't hold you.
How are you able to adjust, the way the season ended? You guys won 32 straight games, 6 games away from the national championship, and then bam. So during this time of adjustment, what are some things you've been doing to adjust to this time?
Right now, I feel like I'm in a space where it's, for a lot of people, it's more mentally than anything. Of course, it's physically, and you want to make sure you're staying in shape. But for me, that's never really been a problem because I've always I've loved to work out. I've loved to stay in the gym and stuff like that. But right now, it's really a space mentally. You got to find yourself constantly trying not to lose your focus. Because right now, it's at a time where it's easy for people to just fall off the rail. It's easy for people to get complacent. Yeah. It's easy for people to lose that drive and to feel like they don't really have to work as hard now just because they probably feel like nobody else is really working hard just because of the times we're in. You always want to make sure you're prepared for it. It's always something that's constantly on your mind, and you don't want to find behind the track. So
we have a tendency as parents to want to try to prevent our children from going through tough times and struggles. And the truth of the matter is, as a young Black man, there's going to be things that you have to overcome, and there's going to be struggles that you have to endure. And I think, you know, for me, I watched the things that he's gone through, and the drive and the passion and the determination to stick to it. And it just gives me hope that of the type of man he's going to be, the type of father he's going to be, because the truth of it, life is tough sometimes. And if you crumble at the sign of any adversity, then it's going to be tough. You got families depending upon you to hold it together and to keep driving and keep pushing through. And so, you know, to watch, I'm watching my son mature and become a man. And it's tough as a father because you don't want him to hurt. You don't want him to go through tough times and challenges. But then I look back in my own life and I see the tough times and challenges that I've had to overcome. And I think it's that gives you sort of the you know, the mentality, and it gives you sort of the stick-to-itiveness to keep pushing. And so I think that that, you know, and for me, I watched him grow spiritually. And the one thing that, you know, I talk to my kids often about is that we've been set apart, right? As an uncommon athlete, you're a special person.
Right.
And the biggest challenge that I think college kids have when they go into an unfamiliar environment and go away to college and away from home the first time, is so easy, and the world makes it so easy for you to become a part of the environment you're in.
Yes.
But as an uncommon athlete, you can't change an environment if you become what that environment involves.
Right.
So you have to be uncommon. You have to be different. You have to think different. You have to approach the game and your practice and your work and your school and your life differently. And when I think about my, you know, the takeaways from the book that I have, just uncommon in general means that you're not common. And the world around us is so common. And I'm watching my child understand the importance of being who God created him to be. And that's not what is oftentimes seen around you. And the only way you can affect the environment that you're in is to be different than what the environment offers. And I'm watching him do that. And it's just, to me, you know, as a father, you pray often for your children. And there's no better person to cover him and take care of him than the God that created him. And so I've become mindful of that. And I think for parents, you have to put your faith and trust in the God that created them, and give you and pray that God will give you the wisdom to parent them in the way that is best for them, not to parent them the way that's best for you. We oftentimes want to replicate mini me's in our children, and they may not be built and equipped to be the person that we are. They're built and equipped to be the person God created them to be. And I recognize that. And I know my limitations as a parent in terms of helping him achieve that. So I pray for my children often. And I try to pray that God will give me the strength to intervene when I'm supposed to, stay away when I'm not, and love them anyway, you know. And that's kind of the way I've approached it.
Yeah, and I think that's a powerful message, you know, for parents, that kids just looking for that unconditional love, you know, whether they're successful, and just that unconditional. They know Dad. I had a son, he plays sports, and he made a comment. He said, "Dad, you know, I don't hear you in the stands, you know, all that like your other parents, but I know you're there."
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I know you're there, and that's how I want. You know, I'm there, you know, because just train up a child in the way they should go. When they're old, they won't depart, you know.
That's
and a lot of that just in Chase happened when he was young. It just didn't happen. See, I tell people, to be an uncommon athlete, just to be uncommon, period, it just doesn't happen, you know. It's part of the process, you know. Things, and the sooner you begin on that journey, the better off you're going to be when those situations happen, you know, when you get to that crossroad, you know. I was listening to Chase talk about how he may have had a little crying spell or whatever, but he wasn't quitting. You know? He wasn't giving up. You know, I'm going to get out of myself. I'm going to get right back to work. I'm going to get right back to work, you know. I'm getting right back to work, getting right back at it, you know. You know, it's just one of those things I got to overcome. I got to deal with, you know. But the key for any athlete is knowing that there's somebody that has their back, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, Chase, what were some of the uncommon things that your team did this season to be 32-1 in preparation, and some sacrifice you guys had to make? And I know when you're 32-1, there's a whole lot of selflessness going on the team, you know.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to win 32 games and have a bunch of selfish players. What were some of those things, some of those uncommon things you would say to team?
So my coach was big on doing common things in an uncommon way. So when you look at it and you look at this, it's hundreds of schools around the country playing basketball, right? So if you think about it, every school is lifting, every school is working out, every school is practicing, every school is watching film. So when you think about it, you have to do those common things in an uncommon way. So every time you approach those things, you have to approach it different from everybody else. You have to have a different level of focus. It has to be effective. It has to be efficient. And I think that's something that's really good at this program, is because from top to bottom, everything is efficient. Everything is effective. Everything is top tier, from our weightlifting coach, from our athletic trainer, from our coaching staff. Just everything is really top tier, and everybody has our best interest at heart. So when you look at it, when you approach film and when you approach individual workouts and you approach practice, you have to approach it in a different way. You have to. It's not always about practicing for 3 hours. It's not always about watching film for 2 hours. You have to take that time and really tell yourself, okay, we're going to get the most out of what we have today. We're going to get better today. And I think that's what a lot of teams, that's why they struggle, is because you can practice, but if you don't have an effective, efficient practice, you didn't really get better. If you go into practice and you're going through the motions and you just practicing just to say you practice today because that's what you have to do and you trying to get through the day, you're not really getting better. So I think why we were so good is because we have a team that from top to bottom, our roster is crazy. Our talent is ridiculous. So when you're going up against your teammates and your brothers every single day, that's making you nothing but better. So you have to bring it every single day or you will get exposed. And I think that's why LMU has been so great over the years, is because my teammates and our brothers, everybody's so good. So if you don't bring it one day, you're gonna get exposed. So that's what I mean by doing common things in an uncommon way. You just have to approach things in an effective, efficient way. You have to really tell yourself that you're gonna get better today, and you can't go through the motions, because at the end of the day, like we know, any day can be your last. We didn't know the season was gonna end like that. So every day we took it day by day. We focused on the game that was ahead. We didn't worry about anything else but us. And that's how we got better. We just stuck to it. Of course, it's gonna be rough days and bad days, but our rough and bad days was better than some team great days. So that's just doing common things in an uncommon way. That's how you win 32 games in a row.
Well, you done wrote the book, man. You done hit on the head. As we wrap up, give each of you an opportunity to leave our audience, because I'll be rebroadcasting this with an encouraging word during this time. How to keep that passion, how to keep that fire, and not just in sports, but in life. Because really, we're talking about life now. Sports is really just such a small part of the big picture of life. So, Kenny, why don't you start, Dad? What encouraging words would you leave with the audience today?
When I think about this time, and I think about the scripture that says the race is not given to the swift, but to the ones that endure. And we clearly are in some unparalleled times in our country's history when it comes to racial issues and tension. In the midst of a pandemic, there's so many things that can cause you to be discouraged or think that the world is more full of challenges than it is for joy. And I think it's an individual attitude, right? You can whatever you choose to focus on, whatever you give energy to, is what will live in your life. And I equate it to, I'm not going to give toxicity my energy and my effort. If you pour gasoline on a fire, it's going to explode. So I want to put my energy in the right things. I want to be optimistic, and I want to know that the joy of the Lord in our lives is much greater than anything that we might face. And that's what I choose to look at. So in the middle of, you know, a pandemic where you can't really do what you want to do and you can't go to the places you want to go to, and you know, aren't able to participate in life the way you're accustomed to, I just think about what we have. We are alive. We have an opportunity to share God's goodness and his joy with others that we come in contact with, because it is good. His goodness and joy outweighs all of those challenges that we face in our life. And when I think back over the things that he's done for me, I can't help but to be thankful for the life that he's given me. And so I can spend my time, you know, depressed by our circumstances or take advantage of the opportunities that I have in front of me. So I you know, I try to remain optimistic. I think that, you know, we need to turn the news off sometime and listen to, you know, an encouraging gospel song, or read God's word, or put some positive things in you. Because if you just get consumed by all of the madness that's going around you, then it's going to be tough to overcome. It's going to be tough to have any optimism and you know, any hope for the future. So I rarely listen to the news. I don't, you know, and I think about, you know, which ways can I encourage people in this time to, you know, think about all that life has to offer and not what it doesn't. And so I just, you know, my encouragement is, you know, stay steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in God's love and in his word. And I think those things will be the thing that will help you, you know, make it through not just this time, because you know what, this is tough times. We never predicted this. And there may be tougher ones ahead of us. If we don't develop the life skills necessary to overcome some of these challenges, it can be rough. But I think that we serve a God that's much bigger than that. And I'm not going to put him in a small box and limit him in terms of what he can do in our lives. I think he's as much at work today as he's ever been. And I'm just awaiting for, you know, us to be able to talk about how we came through this and how we're better people of God and better people individually because of the challenges that we've endured at this particular point in our life.
That's good stuff. Chase?
I think my dad said something that really stood out to me is, when you look at this time and you realize all the things that we can't do, it really makes you appreciate the things that you have and what you can do. And for me, that's really just been, like, when I'm home, it's really just been spending time, really, really good, cherishable time with your family. And I feel like that's, I mean, above everything. If nobody got your back, your family got your back. Right. So really that love is just, it's crazy, because, you know, coming home and seeing my family, it's brought a light to my life that, you know, I wouldn't say I took advantage of before, but it just makes you appreciate it that much more. And especially when I'm away at school and stuff like that, I just love coming home and seeing my family and enjoying the little things. Like, I'll be going on bike rides with my dad, and I'll be hanging out with my little brother and taking my little sister to drive, just little stuff like that. It makes you really appreciate. And it's also allowed me to grow spiritually. It's allowed me to truly find out who I really am. I feel like in this time, you've probably spent a lot of time with yourself. So I'm learning more about myself that I didn't know before. Because when you're spending so much time with yourself, and you start to pick up on things, you start to pick up what really makes you happy, you start to pick up on things that you really don't like. And that's really finding out who you truly are as a person. And that's kind of the stage and the point where I'm at in my life. But yeah, I just feel like this time it's allowed me to grow spiritually. It's allowed me to appreciate the things that I do have, like really appreciate the things that I do have. And at the end of the day, we're so blessed because we're alive, we're healthy. And my encouraging words is just, you know, just keep it pushing. That, you know, it's a tough time, but when you look at it and you realize how blessed you really are, and you realize the things that you have in your life that other people may not have, it makes you appreciate it that much more. And it makes you want to give back. It makes you want to help as many people out as you can. So that's really my encouragement for right now.
Good. I want to thank you all for both of you all for being a part of this. And Dad, you've done a great job, obviously. This is evidence of the job you've done in raising your son. And then on the other side of that, Chase, this is evidence of you paying attention, you know, and really catching some of those things at a young age, you know. And I want to encourage you that those things that the lessons you're learning now, you know, and being prepared, you know, for life, having the right attitude, being an overcomer, being selfless, all those qualities will help you in life, are helping you right now, but they'll even be magnified as you get older. And then you have an opportunity to pass those on to your children and your grandchildren and all. And that's all we as men are doing, just preparing. Sports is a great vehicle for that. You know, Dad's been involved in sports for a while, I've been involved for a while, and I've seen, and we know the blessing of sports, you know, when you use it in the right way. You know, you pick up those qualities. They're lifelong lessons that you're learning, lifelong friendships, you know, lifelong qualities that you're learning. And all that is going to be part of you later on in life, you know, as you mature into the man that God's calling you to be. But I want to thank you all for being a guest today. And I want to encourage persons to get a copy of the book, Uncommon Athletes. And you can follow Coach Tim Brown. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, Facebook or whatnot, and CoachTimBrown.com as well. But I want to thank you all for believing in this project, because I believe that this Uncommon is a movement. And Chase, you said it well, the Blessed is doing the common things in an uncommon way. And that's really what it's all about, even from athlete life itself. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you being a part of this. And Chase, I'm looking forward to being at that national championship game next season. I'm already punching my ticket. You know, I'm playing.
Catch you there. I'm gonna bring you to Indianapolis, my man.
I'll be there. I will be there. All right. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Tim, man. Love you, brother.
Love you too, guys. Take care. All right.